Is there anything you don't like shooting, Paul?
Well, I ain't met the thing yet, but as soon as I do, I'll let you know. You can even put it in one of them books you read.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Today, John Marston stopped shooting.
One of the most heartfelt deaths in the video game industry was that of Red Dead Redemption protagonist John Marston. After putting hours upon hours into the world, learning to love the character, his exit was one that was felt by many. Although it's certainly compared quite often to the death of Arthur Morgan, John's demise stood out sheerly because of the shock value upon the player, but the question we'll be exploring in today's video is, was this all brought on by John himself? Welcome to the video. You're listening to Phil of Philby Gaming. If you enjoy the following, you all know what to do, and if you're new here and aren't subscribed to the channel already, please consider doing so. With that being said, let's get into what we came here to see. Did John Marston cause his own demise? Even as far back as the earlier chapters of Red Dead Redemption 2, there's multiple occasions where Hosea Matthews tries to convince both Abigail and John to leave the gang and make life elsewhere for themselves. It's as if he can foresee the outcome of the Van der Linde gang. After all, he knows Dutch better than anyone else. Hosea cares deeply for the Marston family and knows that life with the gang of misfits and outlaws is not the correct way to raise Jack, and although Abigail seems to listen closely to Hosea's advice, John not so much. If you've played both of the Red Dead Redemption titles, you'll be aware that the character and persona of John Marston differs greatly. Towards the end of RDR2, he does slowly transform into the much-loved badass character that we protagonise as later in Red Dead Redemption 1, but the process in getting to that stage is one that John needs guidance in. Although during the final days of the Van der Linde gang's ways, most members begin to flee as they can all see the declining mental health of Dutch Van der Linde himself, and even though John sees this too, even after Arthur tries to convince him to flee after blowing the bridge, he still remains. Quite often, we see John challenging Dutch's decisions, his ways, but yet still follows him somewhat blindly into battle. Even after Dutch openly admits wanting to leave John in the Sisika Penitentiary to be hanged, John continues to follow his orders.
How did the Pinkertons know about the bank job in Saint Denis, John? You want to tell me that?
If you really think that, you are gone in the head.
This is why I told them to let you rot in jail.
After the final train heist, where John is shot and left for dead, this is when John finally realises exactly how Dutch feels towards him and his family. He now knows that he's no longer considered the son of Dutch Van der Linde, and the close bond of brotherhood they once shared was now nothing more than a distant memory. For this reason, plus a collective of past actions, John sides with Arthur during the final standoff between a now broken Van der Linde's gang. His final moments with Arthur are heartbreaking to say the least. The family of the gang he once knew was gone, but he still saw Arthur as a brother. Even though their relationship had been rocky at best, John finally understands what Arthur was trying to do for him. He now sets his sights on becoming the person that Abigail, albeit she's considered to be badgering him most of the time, Hosea and Arthur were trying to help him become. After the death of Arthur Morgan, Red Dead Redemption 2 thankfully doesn't end quite just yet, as we're projected into some 8 years later, continuing the story of John Marston and his family. We quickly learn that the trio have been forced to flee an area, which we later learn to be Roanoke Ridge, after John has murdered a man for unknown reasons. Abigail is of course frustrated by his actions, as she wishes for a more peaceful and civilised life, wanting to leave their past activities during their time under the teachings of Dutch Van der Linde a distant memory.
That was close. Too close. We brought that trouble on ourselves.
By we, you mean me.
It wasn't me who went and shot him.
Seemed like he deserved shooting.
I'm sure he did. But I've been thinking, ain't it about time you stop being the man making them decisions?
I'm trying.
Are you?
I think so.
Although some consider this to be Abigail nagging John, I have to admit she's absolutely right to be frustrated with him. She's concerned about her family. Although Abigail has always been a loving mother, this isn't 1899 anymore. Jack, herself, and John don't have 20 gang members protecting them now, it's just the three of them, and she knows this. And John even making a joke of the situation really isn't helping matters. The Marston family are on the run once more, this time needing to all use false aliases to mask their identity, all because of John. Under Abigail's guidance, John does attempt to live life on the straight and narrow, even gaining employment where he's to deliver supplies to the newly formed Pronghorn Ranch. Upon his arrival, a couple of thugs from a rivaling ranch attempt to terrorize the folks at Pronghorn, even stealing John's wagon in the process. Trying to make an impression and also wanting his wagon back, John deals with the thugs as best as possible. Abigail, upon learning this, berates John once more.
This place is kinda...
It's fine. But I hear you began your career in ranching by throwing your weight around. Real wise, Jim.
What was I supposed to do? The place was getting robbed.
So you show everyone who's boss? Real fine.
I didn't have much of a choice. I gotta go.
Although one could see a point, this particular interaction can't entirely be blamed on John, as he believed he was doing what was best. This is something we see often during our time in the epilogue, with John often citing that he didn't have a choice. After a little convincing, John manages to gain a more permanent employment on the ranch, even securing a little home at Pronghorn for himself, Abigail, and their now much older son, Jack. Trying to provide a more stable life for his family, John comes across difficult choices. In one such instance, John was torn between assisting the Geddes family in fending off their rivaling attackers. He understands that the right thing to do is help those who took him in, but he's also aware that these actions will not sit well with Abigail. He was right to feel that way, as after helping defend the ranch, Abigail is once again challenging John for his actions. Unfortunately for John, his past actions do catch up with him, and what makes it even worse is that he's in the company of young Jack at the time. The brother of the man John killed in Roanoke has tracked him down, and with a couple of thugs in tow, attempt to take the life of John. Although John deals with the pursuers, the event traumatizes Jack. We need to remember that during the events of the main story, Jack was very little, so instances such as the kidnapping he endured or falsely being informed of his father's passing are more than likely memories that Jack may not have anymore. Safely returning to Pronghorn, Jack storms past his mother into the family home. John, of course, has to confess to Abigail of the attack, to which she reacts exactly the same way any mother would. Following this, soon after, Abigail, feeling that the safety of herself and Jack is now compromised, takes herself and her young son away.
Darling John, a kind lady in the village helped me write this.
She had men problems of her own, but that's a different story. Listen, I've begged you, but it don't seem to make much difference. I've tried everything I know to make you grow up. And you know I love you, but loving you means I can't watch you do this. Time after time, we've had to run because of your behavior and your decisions. We got a son. I got a son. And I love our son enough that I can't have him around while you're like this. I had so many dreams, John. I hoped you would change. We all saw what happened to them that didn't, but you... Part of you is hell-bent on ending up the same way.
And I love you too much to watch that no more. Abigail.
John struggles to come to terms with this. As of now, he realizes his actions have left him alone in the world, and he needs to make the change that Abigail requires of him if he's to achieve the life both himself and his family dream of. Abigail previously expressed on how she had her heart set on a little farmland known as Beecher's Hope. This is what John sets his sights on. After receiving advice from ranch owner David Geddes and being able to use his name as leverage, John is able to purchase the land of Beecher's Hope, with intentions of giving Abigail and Jack the life they both want and deserve, and with the assistance of a few old friends, he's able to transform Beecher's Hope into a dream home. Writing a letter to Abigail with promises of him being a changed man, she eventually returns home to John.
What the hell? You're...
You always did have that fine way with words.
You doing all right, son?
Sure, Pop. Can I go see the house?
Sure.
Just give him some time. He'll warm up. It's quite a place you got here.
It's yours.
Ours. I should see about that boy.
Who's my new rival?
Oh, that's Rufus. He's loyal, dumb, and angry, so he reminded us of you.
That's your idea of a joke, miss?
I guess.
Come on!
John had somewhat lied to Abigail up until this point. Although he's claimed to have changed, he still has the treacherous Micah Bell in the back of his mind. It's something he can't let go of, and although this is justified in the mind of many players, tracking down and killing Micah goes against everything Abigail has asked of John, so of course tensions run high when Sadie visits the homestead with news of Micah's whereabouts.
Hey, John. Abigail.
Sadie.
Charles. I found him. I found Micah.
No.
I got a lead. One of his boys wanted for murdering a woman. Been seen drinking in Strawberry. If we can get to him, he'll lead us to Micah. But I gotta go now. You coming?
No. He's not coming.
I will.
That's your business. His business is here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll ride with you.
No, I'm begging you. No! You risk all this? For what? For Micah?
All this wouldn't exist if it weren't for Arthur, Sadie, and all the folks as fell. If I let him go, this place ain't no more real than one of Jack's dragons.
I'm begging you.
And I'm begging you to understand. This is it. This is...
Please.
Please try to... I ain't got no other choice. Keep an eye on the place for me. Of course.
Please.
Let's go kill this son of a bitch then.
Following a tough fight through the snowy mountains, John eventually confronts Micah Bell in a tense standoff, involving a surprise appearance from Dutch van der Linde himself. With the assistance of Dutch, who seems to have finally realised the error of his previous actions, John is able to put down Micah once and for all, leaving his frozen corpse atop Mount Hagen for vultures to feast upon. Many would of course see this as both a justified and happy ending to the tale of Red Dead Redemption 2, but on the opposite side of the coin, it was this action that Abigail was very much against that would begin a chain of events eventually leading to the final days in the life of John Marston. As the credits roll, closing the story of Red Dead Redemption 2, we see former Pinkerton detective agents, now rebranded as Chief of the Bureau of Investigation, Edgar Ross alongside Agent Archie Fordman, finding the frozen remains of Micah Bell, setting in motion a trail of searching, eventually leading to the home of the Marston family, where the two agents watch closely and collectively devise a plan on how to deal with John Marston. This is where the tale continues in 1911 and the events of Red Dead Redemption. Having now been settled in for a couple of years at Beecher's Hope, it would be apparent that John has let his guard down. Chief Edgar Ross has devised a plan to eliminate the now debunked Van der Linde gang once and for all. Himself and his agents kidnap the wife and child of John Marston and use them as an instrument in tracking down former gang members Bill Williamson, Javier Escuela, and of course Dutch van der Linde. This journey takes John across all the southern regions of America, even spending some time in Mexico whilst on a hunt for his former brothers-in-arms. Eventually, with the assistance of some newfound friends, the Bureau itself, and even the United States military, John is able to both track and eliminate his now foes. Edgar Ross keeps good on his word to John, releasing his family back to Beecher's Hope, but unbeknownst to John, Ross isn't finished with his mission. His mission is to eliminate the remaining survivors of the Van der Linde gang, and some are still standing, Old Uncle and John Marston himself. As the family believe themselves to have finally been rid of their past and rebuild the struggling Beecher's Hope, Edgar Ross plans to launch one final assault on the residents.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, Paul.
Need a hand with that?
No, sir, I got it.
Looks like you have. You know, you're real good with them tools.
Thank you, Paul.
You'll make this land real nice one day. Me and your mother will do our part. By the time your turn comes, hell, this could be the nicest farm in the county.
Maybe, Paul.
Just gotta learn to shoot straight or you'll get yourself eaten by some animal.
Very funny, Paul.
Thank you, son. Soon it'll be quail season. We should have some fun then.
Is there anything you don't like shooting, Paul?
Well, I ain't met the thing yet, but as soon as I do, I'll let you know. You can even put it in one of them books you read.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Today, John Marston stopped shooting.
Now, I ain't no literary man, but I don't think that'll sell. People like shooting in them things.
I think you may be right there, Paul.
So, you ever hear talk about them machines that can make a man fly?
Well, sure, Paul. Everybody knows about that. You know they're going to be bringing one of those machines around the country next year for a demonstration? One of them machines can turn men into angels.
One of them machines can turn men into angels.
John, come here. John, come here, quick. Take a look at that.
Jack, go into the house, lock all the doors. Whatever happens, don't come outside. You hear me? Whatever happens.
Okay.
Come here, son. Whatever happens, keep the doors locked and your mother inside. Promise me, son. Promise me.
Who is it, Paul?
It's just some old friends. Me and Uncle take care of it. And you go inside and you keep the doors and the windows locked.
I hear you.
Then run!
Yeah, run, boy.
Well, old man, looks like things is about to get settled once and for all.
So it seems.
John realises that he needs to get his family to safety. Saying his final goodbyes to his wife Abigail and son Jack, he faces the past he was trying to escape from one final time.
Now listen, Jack, darling, get on this horse. Get out of here. Go find a place to hide.
You're coming with us, Paul.
I'll catch up. Keep riding and don't look back. And don't be worried about me, you hear? Now get going.
You stay out of trouble, John.
Ain't no trouble, Abigail. Ain't no trouble. I love you.
I love you.
Now go! Get!
Albeit a tragic story of loss, it's one that could have well been avoided if John had just listened to those who cared for him much earlier: Hosea, Arthur, and of course Abigail. Hosea from the beginning, Arthur towards the end, and Abigail throughout. He could have lived a peaceful life with his family, whether it be at Beecher's Hope or somewhere else, if he had left the gang much sooner. It wasn't until towards the end of Chapter 3 of the main story of Red Dead Redemption 2 where John was finally met by the Pinkertons, and even then he was given an opportunity to flee. This was the perfect chance for John and his family, as at that point the lead agent was Milton, a much more reasonable character than Edgar Ross. I don't believe Milton would have tracked down anyone from the gang if they had just listened to him, as he had plenty of opportunities to bring them all in, but claimed he only wanted Dutch. John was naive to trust Edgar Ross, but in fairness, he still wouldn't have had much choice if he wanted his family back. He did try to make the change Abigail wanted, but all too little too late for the man. His past actions had consequences, and those consequences would be brought to justice. Passing up opportunity after opportunity to flee the gang and live a peaceful life with his family, choosing to continue to follow in the footsteps of Dutch Van der Linde, even after realising his declining mental health, then continuing on to break the law following the gang's departure, albeit justified or not, surely led to John Marston being responsible for his own demise. Do you agree with the thoughts produced in today's video? Do you believe that the fall of John Marston was brought on by himself and his actions? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section provided. If you enjoyed today's video, you all know what to do, and if you're new here and aren't subscribed to the channel already, please consider doing so. Do you wish to see me cover any particular character or event, for example, from the world of Red Dead Redemption 2? Please don't hesitate to throw your suggestions out there. Thank you all for watching. You've been listening to Phil of Philby Gaming, and I'll see you in the next video.